Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new to my channel, hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Sama. So today's video I want to cover this story of Genevieve Naji. That this story has been going on. Anyone that does not know, she's a Nigerian actress, and recently she made the post. Let me just read exactly how it is on the how she posted it. Okay, so her post says, mental health is more spiritual than it is physical. Rededicate your life to the God you serve. Get rebaptized. And people have been addressing that and all of that. I decided to talk about it because there's so much we need to talk about this topic, right? I want to say this. At least we can say, or something that I found great, or that I have noticed that I can say is great, is the fact that a lot of people were very ready to vocalize their objection to this, to what she said. And when I say objection, is this objection of, what I'm trying to say is this: in the past, when people say anything is spiritual, everybody will be like, ah, okay. They'll be too afraid to speak their opinion about it, because anything spiritual, God, oh, I don't want to go fire, I don't want this, oh, I don't want that, oh. They were too afraid. But this generation is so different. People are now comfortable to say, forget that, it's not spiritual. And no matter what people's opinions are, the fact that people are not even afraid to address the topic, it is a plus. It is. There was a time where people would have been afraid to address it. And why it's important is that people need to be able to address topics like this. At the end of the day, people can walk away with whatever opinion they want to walk away with. But it shouldn't be a topic that should not be touched. That is why so much has gone on for decades. And in the past, ignorance was the order of the day. Things are changing. People are beginning to open their eyes more. And why I'm saying this is this. There was a time when people would be like, oh, somebody has a mental health problem. Family members will, instead of going to a psychiatric hospital or going, whatever, they'll be like, it's spiritual. They would not stay at home and be fasting and praying and fight. I'm not saying prayer is not good, but let's not make that mistake of everything say spiritual, and then instead of going to get help, people just begin to pray. I've already said it, prayer is good, but medicine is good too. There's a reason why some doctors specialize in psychiatry. It is an area of medicine. And there are medications that have transformed people's life when it comes to, mental health, right? An area I want to bring up, and that was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this post. A lot of people know that typically Nigerian culture believes that a woman should be married. If you're not married, what is wrong with you? And this lady, let me see her age, 42. She's 42, and by Nigerian standard, 42, she's not married. Hey, her enemies have got her. What is this? Oh, she's 42, oh, no husband. Hey, that is Nigerian. That is Nigeria for you, okay? And I don't see that changing anytime soon. And as a 42-year-old lady not married, I don't know what mentality she operates on, but a typical Nigeria will have that mentality that, why am I not yet married? I'm not speaking for her, I'm just saying typically, right? Now, what ends up happening is that this kind of ladies, if they're not yet married, the first thing their pastors will tell them, I'm not saying her pastor told her, I'm saying typically, right? Because I'm not there in her life. I don't know what's happening in her life. But typically, they will say, it's spiritual. Some people, your enemies, or some people this, some people that. That can explain a mentality like this of saying mental health is not physical, it's spiritual. I can speak, for example, I think I've shared the story of my big sister. My big sister was approaching her 40th birthday. She was not yet married. And then the next thing, my big sister was a Catholic. She became born again and started attending a Pentecostal church. My big sister completely changed. This is why I really want to address it. She completely changed. Everything, when I say everything was spiritual. She began to have enemies. This is one of the areas that I cannot stand, where people speak about your enemies so much. They will just begin to tell you have enemies. You don't even know if it's true you have enemies or not. They tell you have enemies. And that basically, these your enemies, they don't have a life. All they do from morning till night is trying to find a way to do this to you, do that to you. My big sister, that was a regular human being, let me put it like that, she completely changed. I remember when I was new abroad and we were speaking on the phone and I told her about this itchy skin that I was having. And she was like, she said, she was thinking, enemies have started again. My sister was not like that before. My sister was educated. When she became this type of born again, this type, everything is, and she now started talking about, she's going to, fast and pray. She's going to this. My itchy skin, she described it as spiritual and this and that. I said, hey. I didn't even realize that the change of environment, my skin, I was suffering from eczema. When I say eczema, like terrible eczema, the weather was drying out my skin so much. Eventually, when I got my diagnosis is a form of eczema. And then it was treated according to that. And since then, I know the moisturizer that is good for my skin. I know the kind of soap that is good for my skin because I have eczema. So if I was to follow that mentality, I may not even want to go to the doctors because I'll be like, oh, it's spiritual. And then I'll start going from prayer house to prayer house, up and down, instead of going to a doctor and finding the solution to my itchy skin. This kind of thing has destroyed a lot of lives. I won't be surprised if this Genevieve, this is the mentality that has been brought into her from church people, pastor people, let me put it like that. My big sister was not married, and the next thing you could tell, I believe the bid to become married was what drove her into going into Pentecostal church. Her life was no longer a free life. It was a life of fasting and prayer against enemy. I can't even go to the story of my sister. I believe they ruined her life. Her life became so unhappy life, very unhappy life, that by the time my sister died, I can't even tell you guys. And I believe that this is what killed her. I'm not going to even go into details. But my sister went from this bright, beautiful lady and all of those, free-minded individual to this person that became imprisoned with this mentality of everything is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. She became imprisoned into this shell where her life was no longer a joyful life. And this is what a lot of these pastors have done to people for decades. That's why I'm happy that there are people that are actually arguing or debating this topic. I shared the story here of growing up in a house where our parents fought. The household that I grew up in is that culture of, woman submitting to her husband is done in a way that, I'm sorry, it's almost like a slavery. A woman is under the husband in a way that is an oppressive way. When a woman is under her husband, is under her husband's, let's say, under her husband's love and protection. But some people don't speak about it like, okay, under a husband's love and protection is about under a husband's dominance. And we grew up in that home. My sister was this Ajebota. I told you guys I grew up, my father, I was born into a very wealthy home. My father was stinkily rich. My mother is from a royal family. Ajebota would be Ajebota before, but things changed. I've shared my story. Things changed. We became so poor. My sister, luckily for her, she enjoyed the wealth all through. By the time she already left home before poverty started, you understand? So she didn't get to experience the poverty we experienced. So she continued with that Jebota life. She was not tough and all of those things. And when she looks at marriage, and the picture she has is the picture of my parents' marriage. I'm telling you, it's enough to make any girl to be afraid to be married. So what I want to address, I'm trying to explain here, is looking at the physical reasons why, for example, my sister was not married. Rather than just jump into spiritual, look at somebody's life and weigh the things that are in the person's life. My sister was afraid to be married because she was afraid that once I marry, I'm going to be somebody's. She saw it like she was going to be a slave. She's going to be oppressed. There was the guy that, was proposing to her marriage, or she said, no, no, she said, and the guy said, she was scared, and she said the guy's name is actually my father's name. The guy has my father's name, and she was like, no, I'm going to be honest, I love my dad. I'm not going to pretend about it. But my father was a tough man. Let me put it like that. So she was like, no, this guy here, he even has my father's name. Like, she's not married. She wanted to be married, but she was afraid of marriage. And it comes from the home where she grew up in. I made a video here about my parents' marriage, and some people were ranting. And I tell you guys, look, I made that video because I want people to be careful the home you're raising your children in, because that is a picture that they make. You're giving them a picture of what life is or what marriage should be. Make sure that you're raising your children in a home that will not damage them in any way, especially when it comes to, the right picture. If you're a violent man and you are doing this at home, and your woman is there tolerating it, the woman is teaching her daughters that it's okay to live in a violent home, this is how you save your marriage. And at the same time, in that marriage, this couple will be teaching their children that it's okay for their sons to grow up, get married, and hit their wives. And then you're telling the daughters it's okay to tolerate the beating. And I believe that the home we grew up in made my sister afraid to be married. At the same time, she was living outside Igbo land, but she would like to marry Igbo. And then you have to be practical and ask yourself, what is the availability of Igbo guys around where you are? That is why you see Nigerians living abroad and then they're marrying foreigner, for example. Maybe in their circle, they don't have as many fellow Nigerians available to them. Let's say 80% of white people are available and only 20% of Nigerians. They end up marrying the white person because, okay, this is where they are and the more available men or women, 80% is a lot. That's a lot. You understand? So my sister was living, she was not living in Igbo land. She has never really lived in Igbo land, but she wants to marry an Igbo man, but she's living among people of a different tribe. So that cuts down her chances of finding a husband. Instead of sitting down and weighing all these obstacles, if I can put it like that, to finding a husband, and then instead of looking at the practical aspect, they say spiritual, your enemies, your this, your that, and they begin to believe that nonsense. They begin to believe it instead of then looking at the practical way. I know people living abroad are like, okay, I want to get married, but I don't want to marry to a white man or a white woman. What do? Every wherever they go to Nigeria for like their summer holidays, 2 months, 3 months, to give them a chance of meeting somebody in Nigeria. I know men that do it, women that do it, that ladies and guys that do it. They go to Nigeria every summer holidays because they want to increase their chances of marrying a fellow Nigerian. Those are people looking for practical solution to their problem, if I can put it that way. But if somebody tells them that it's spiritual, they then begin to forget about the physical, practical aspect of their problems. And they may not find solution because they're not going to church 24/7 and be praying and they're praying. I know why she would have made a comment like that. I believe she has been made to believe this. That's why she posted it. And our church, a lot of all these church pastors are causing so much. A lot, though not all, but a lot of them are causing so much destruction, so much damage and pain, so much. I'll give you guys another example. A relative of mine, he got married, 1 year, no pikin, 2 years, no pikin. How many years, no pikin? The pastor told him that when you took your wife to the village to go and introduce her to your village people, the first house you entered, the person you entered the house is the one that has prevented your wife from having children. And this guy, he believed it 100%. He doesn't need any proof. It's a pastor that said it. There's a spiritual reason why his wife never born. Whether he now went for gynae appointments, to find out the solution, it's possible he didn't even bother because pastor have told him it's the first house you entered. Come and see poor village people. It breaks my heart. This guy now came home and I started pointing finger and say, now your house I first enter, my pastor say, now you make my wife no born. And then, everybody, the sad part is that then family members started saying, no, it was not my house you enter first, though. Now that house, are you sure it was not? Everybody was trying to dodge their head and say, not my house you enter first, though. That pastor is somewhere making a statement like that. He does not know the damage on ground. That thing caused a massive damage on ground. Family members falling out because this guy believed it 100%. Nothing else anybody said. And somebody in the family that helped him to get educated, somebody that helped him in his life, that has provided for him, helped to send him to school, this person that loved and cared for him all these years of his life, and he had an amazing relationship with this person. And when I say amazing the relationship with this person, he became enemies with that person simply because his pastor told him. He cannot sit down and look and say, no, this my uncle loves me so much. Oh, this is making me emotional. Sorry. Because the damage that it caused, he cannot say, no, this my uncle has been there for me since I was a little boy. When I gained admission, this my uncle was the first one that supported me, throughout my life. This my uncle has been there for me when I was this, when I was that. If not for this my uncle, I will not be where I am today. This my uncle brags about me, about my success. This my uncle, it's not possible. This my uncle loves me. They were like this. He decided that this is the enemy because his pastor told him that the first house you entered is the person that did it. Instead of him to use his brain and, ask himself and say, no, this my uncle loves me too much. Somebody cannot wish you evil and this person has been there in your life in a way even more than your father could have been there for you in your life. And that broke that uncle's heart that until that uncle died, that thing pained him so much. That was so painful because he never stopped talking about it. How could? Do you know what I mean? He kept on doing his best to make this boy realize that no, I didn't do anything to you. And because he loved his nephew so much, that was one of the pains that uncle took with him to the grave. All because one pastor in Lagos, oh my God, this is making me so emotional because of the destruction. Because of the destruction these things cause on ground. This makes me angry and emotional because of the kind of destruction that a lot of this. And you see, unfortunately, Nigerians don't. Once a pastor says it, that's it. And now that uncle is dead and buried for more than how many years? Guess what? His wife still no born. Since they say that uncle is the one that is holding him, that uncle is dead and buried, that cousin's wife still have no children. You see what I'm trying to say? I'm talking about this. Pastor said spiritual, everything. If you're telling you the amount of destruction this has caused in the families, where family members will be pointing fingers, say that one, now evil spirit, that one, there's somebody in my family. When elderly people die, this person is supposed to be a pastor. When elderly people die, this person will say, yes, God is wiping away that generation. They are the evil generation. God is wiping them. And I'm like, are you serious? You know, and why it's so painful is that you lose a family member and you are mourning and crying. This person will say, yes, God is wiping away that generation. They are the evil generation. And I was like, so all our uncles, all of them are evil. All. It's so sad because people are still mourning. You'll be like, yes, God is wiping away that generation. That's what. Guess what? All my uncle, their generations have died and died and died. Like, you know. But guess what? Since they died, the family has been worse than when they were alive. My uncles believed in unity. If we go home for Christmas, you could eat in any of your uncles' homes. I said you will get up in the morning and be thinking, where will I eat lunch today? You ask one cousin, what did your mommy cook? You say, my mother cooks and so. No, I don't want rice. What did your mother cook? You will go there, they will dish for you. No fear, nothing. The family was so happy. I have one uncle that was my favorite one. This my uncle, every time he goes to he used to sell in the market. He sells flip-flops and shoes and school shoes or whatever. That uncle, every time he comes back, he must buy akara. We'll be waiting for him. We'll know when he'll be coming back. We will see him coming, riding his bicycle. All these stories are making me so emotional. You know, he was riding his bicycle. All of us will be running. We'll all start running towards him. And then we run towards because every single time he will buy akara. He will not share akara. The akara this man is sharing, your own portion, not they pass like this. But it was just the joy that, you know, it was a joyful thing. He shared, it was tradition. He would never come home without buying akara. On his bicycle, we'll hold on to him and he's riding, we'll keep following and he'll be, bring it back. Then my uncle is dead now too. It was such a beautiful family when our uncles were alive. Now, oh my God, all our uncles are gone. And people say they were the evil generation. This generation of our family, they are worse. No brotherly love. Nobody cares. There is no unity at all. They don't talk to each other. All those things we enjoyed when our father and his brothers were alive. Anyone that does not know, I come from a real rural village where imagine like 2 streets are full of one family, like one last name, right? So like imagine the next house to you is your uncle's house, the other house is your uncle's house, the other house. That is how beautiful my village, you know, my village is. Every relative could come and eat in our house. My father built a massive house with 21 rooms. 21 rooms. Any relative, cousins, we're all taking one room, staying inside because my father does not have 21 children. Freely, everybody moved freely. And they said that generation was evil. Now that generation is gone. And this generation, which of them will even let you stay in their house? Which of them will even help you when you are in trouble? Which of them care about anybody? They don't care. And somebody that's a pastor in the family said that generation is the evil generation. That God is wiping them out. So how can God wipe them out and leave this generation that is worse than the people that were there before? What my father and his brothers created, none of their children have been able to recreate what they created. The unity they had in the family when they were alive is gone since they left. What am I speaking about? Is all this everything spiritual? It's destroying a lot of homes, a lot of families, a lot of communities. Because I'm not saying there's no evil among us, but there are times where there are physical problems, practical issues. Instead of people looking for practical solutions, they will just go spiritual. And it's causing so much problem. I think I ended up, saying a lot. But I really hope I'm explaining something to you. Be careful about all this spiritualizing everything. It is destroying lives. Coming back to mental health. Those of you that are in the field. Even in nursing. I'm a nurse. We have general nursing. We have a psych. We have PEDS. We have intellectual disability. You know why? And why there are doctors that are their own area is psychiatry. Because it is an area of medicine that they studied in. We have GI, urology, neurology, we have psych, cardiac, we have different doctors specialize in different ways. Do you know why? Because there are different parts of the body that can be sick. And it's good to specialize in those areas that is the area great at, and that's the area you look after. Just like we can have cardiac doctors for heart problems and stuff like that. Let's say GI, that has to do with your colon and your digestive system and stuff like that, and different areas. The same way we have the psych area, which has to do with the brain, because they realize that just like your stomach can be sick, urinary tract can be sick, different parts of bodies can be sick, the same way the brain can be sick. And there is a way to look after it. This post, if people take it serious and don't realize that there are people that specialize in the area of the brain, and the reason why they create this area of specialty is because every part of the body can be sick, including the heart. This area of medicine, if you are unwell, go and get help. When it comes to over spiritualizing everything, I don't say don't pray. But if your life is stressful, you wake up 5 in the morning to go to a job where your boss is nasty and your co-workers are nasty, and then the drive to your work is tedious, there's a terrible traffic, and then you come home, you have 3-5 children to look after, you have bills piling up, you have so much happening in your life, and then you are stressed. Your mental health is not in a good place. You now say, let me be praying about my mental health. No. You have to do something practical. Ask yourself, should I change to another job, or should I continue with this job? Should I reduce my hours, or should I do this? If you don't go and look after those practical aspects of your job, and you not say it's spiritual, you're in trouble. I used to work in a particular area of nursing, and the boss there, people say she's racist, she's this, and they always say, she was nasty towards me. And all the Indians and the Filipino will come and tell me, see, look, you're new here, but this woman, this is how she is, or she's nasty to us foreigners, but she's nice to the white people. And be careful around her. I say, me, I'm not a fear person. I respect. I hate to be afraid of people. I like to give people respect. And I've seen it already. Like, I know I don't have to do anything. She will just come and be talking to me anyhow. Me, I will answer. I say, excuse me, like, what? I answer her the way she's talking to me, because I want her to know that I'm not afraid of her. You are the boss, that's fine. But I have a job to do, and I'm here to do the job, not to be there's no part of my job that involves being afraid of you. There was one day she came, she was like, there was something very minor. She came to me, and she was talking in praises of everybody, and patience and everything. Me, as she's talking, me, I'm answering her. When she left, the other staff were calling me like, don't answer her, just ignore her. The Filipinos and Indians were like, just ignore her. Then I said, no, I can't do that. Because you see, if I ignore her, if I go later, they pay me for body, because I'm the kind of person that I like to say how I feel, and then that's how I feel better. I worked there. After a while, I said, you know what? I don't need this. I said, I'm out of here. Oh, you can't leave. You have to give us whatever notice. I said, okay, this is it. You have the notice now. I'm out of here. And I left that job, and I went to another area of nursing, because she's the boss. She feels that she has the right to talk to me anyhow. But I don't need to deal with that. I want to go to a job where I do my job and I get out. I chose to leave that area because it's not good. But some people are there. There's one particular Indian lady always crying. And I'm like, how can you be in a place like this? Every day you're crying. That is not good for her mental health. People look for practical solutions. For example, there are people that their workplace is too far away. They are traveling for 2 hours to get to a job. You can decide to, okay, how do I manage this? Okay, maybe I should quit this job and look for a job nearer to my house. Find other practical ways. You don't go and stand and be going from prayer house to prayer house. It doesn't work that way. I'm not saying don't pray, but I'm saying this idea of making people not look at the practical solutions to their problem and leave everything to prayers is a problem in our society that is destroying lives. Why am I saying this? You see, this Genevieve, don't blame her for what she has said. It is something she has been made to believe. If she didn't believe it, she wouldn't have posted it. She's posted it from a strong conviction in her heart. I remember when my big sister didn't get married. And then the next one was not married. And then it got to my turn. Me, I no waste time. I don't already marry. They were beginning to see it as, hey, the first one no marry, oh. The second one never marry, oh. Hey, maybe spiritual. Hey, they not go see husband. Maybe, you know the way our people reason. And I can tell you personally, I can tell you practical reasons why my big sisters were not married. When it reached my turn, me, at the age of waiting. My first marriage proposal was when I was even maybe 15. But the plan, you know the way they do it, like, okay, this is the girl I'm going to marry. And then the plan is she's still young until she turns 18. And then when I was 18, another proposal. I remember family members saying, oh, she's still young, all of those things. You see that the thing they call spiritual. At the end of the day, I settled down at the age of 22. They were already trying to claim that there's something spiritual. My younger sister after me, her own, I think she was 21. She was 21 when she settled down. Till today, she's still married. All my siblings now are married. That mentality that was beginning to trickle in, that, oh, it's spiritual. Where is it today? Imagine if maybe I believe all those ones and I start going from prayer house to prayer house. I start going from prayer house instead of just living my life and I end up not getting married. Anyway, Anyways, I think I've shared a few stories here and there. I say it sometimes that there are sometimes it's good to share stories to give people practical examples. I'm going to say this, not all pastors, but there are a lot of them in our community that have that power of, I'm a pastor, whatever I say, people will believe me. They have started abusing it so much that they can say anything. Was it not this Chikwendu, FFK? There was an interview where she said something like, the husband has 7 pastors, the political ambition. He has these 7 pastors that are always in his house fasting and praying. She said something like that. And then she said that, if I'm not mistaken, she said something like they now said that she is the problem.
Turned out that the money in question he was looking for was the money he ordered her to give to the pastors that live in his house praying for his presidential ambition.
For his presidential ambition?
Yeah, there are 7 pastors in the room downstairs. They are
praying for FFK to become
presidential ambition. And you had to deal with a lot. These same pastors are the pastors that wake up in the morning and say, I am Delilah, that he should throw me out. But the Lord says, I am Delilah, I'll be thrown out for the real woman to come and follow him into glory, that I don't support his destiny. Some days they'll call me Vashti, but they will throw me out and Esther will replace me.
The marriage has ended. The man is still pursuing the spiritual, he's still pursuing the political ambition. This is a problem in our society. A lot of these pastors that have decided that because people take whatever I say, no matter what, let me say this one, let me say that one. And a lot of them have destroyed lives. Let people start taking their lives back and say no to this. Let me go. My wife no get belly. I won't go see doctor. Let me consult whatever. Do you know how far science has gone at this point? Let me go and try IVF. Let me try this. Let me try that. Don't just say pastor said and sit at home and say, yeah, pastor said it's spiritual. It'll be fasting and prayer instead of go to practical solutions to your problems. This is the aspect I really want people to really focus on. A lot of destruction in our society that needs to be fixed because a lot of these pastors have been allowed for such a long time to destroy lives. I have one that is in my family. He will ask you, tell me something about your dreams. My people who know they dream. If you now say, well, the last time I dreamt, I dreamt about so and so and so and so and so. He will now start telling you, when you now saw that in the dream, it means this. When you now saw that, at a point that, I'll just say, look, let me tell you, if you want to talk about my dreams, come and tell me. Don't ask me to tell you something. You will not use what I said to now start formulating what you're formulating. If you really know anything about somebody's life, say it. Don't wait until they tell you their dream. You will not start telling them one thing, evil spirit, or whatever. That's nonsense. I don't believe in all of those things. Bottom line, I felt I should use this opportunity to address the lot of damage that is being done. Anyways, I think the area that I really want people to focus on or really think about this particular post by Genevieve is the extent to which a lot of these pastors have brainwashed people into believing in what everything is spiritual instead of looking at the physical aspect of their problems, the practical solutions to these problems, because it is causing a lot of damage. That's why you will see somebody is sick in Nigeria. They will not go to hospital and say, it's evil spirit attack. They will not go to hospital because the pastor said, no, this thing that you're doing, that vomit as you're vomiting, it is your enemies. Oh, it is the evil spirit in your enemy put your body that's coming out. Someone does not know that there's something else that's wrong with them. And before you know it, their life has ended because pastor said. This is why some people will be sick. Instead of run to the hospital, tell your pastor to come and meet you there in the hospital and pray there. They will run to church. But when your pastor is sick, especially the mega ones, they will go abroad. They have the best healthcare in the world. Anyways, I saw that I wanted to quickly come and address it. I'm not saying don't believe in God. I'm not saying that that's not what my video is saying. What I'm saying that there are some problems that are physical problems that need practical solution. But a lot of these so-called pastors have led people into the early exit from this life because of all this brainwashing that's going on. Hopefully that this is an eye-opener. I wouldn't fault her. Like I said, I believe that she believes it. That's why she's confidently sharing it. And I believe it's what she has been made to believe. Bottom line, what I'm saying is this. It is a problem when a lot of these pastors have made people to fail to look at their physical problems, see them as physical, and look for the practical solutions to those problems. That is really what I really want to cover. That's really what I want to address in this video. And as always, whatever your opinions are, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And with that, I'm going to say thank you for watching. Until the next time, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.